The Las Vegas Raiders should move either Thayer Munford or Dylan Parham to right guard. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why the Raiders should move Dylan Parham to right guard. Then I'm going to give you 5 reasons why the Raiders should move Thayer Munford to right guard. And then I'm going to tell you, if I was Las Vegas, which player would I rather move to right guard? If you agree on that statement that the Raiders' offensive line would be better overall if one of those players at right guard, I want you to click that like button, because believe it or not, I really think that you're going to enjoy today's show. And I thought about doing this show for a while, and I get it. There's some people out there that don't like to talk about the offensive line. I know the people that watch this show are real ones, because when you care about the big guys up front, those are the type of real ones out there that I want, and that's really where Telesco is putting a lot of his concentration. But when you look right now at this Raiders offensive line, I don't anticipate DJ Fluker is going to be there. He's just, if the season started today, would be the name to throw in there. But the reason why that I would do this is because there's so much more talent at right tackle, at left guard, in free agency, in the draft, and I think that you could build a better overall offensive unit with a brand new coach in James Craig for your Raiders offensive line. So let's see what we can do. Let's build the best unit possible, and I believe that's putting one of those 2 players over to right guard. So first here, we're going to look at Dylan Parham and why he should be moved to right guard for the Silver and Black. The first reason, back in 2021, when he was a member of the Memphis Tigers, he played this position. Now, he also played right tackle. He also played left guard. He also played center at the Senior Bowl. One of the reasons why the Raiders drafted him in round 4 was because of all of that versatility. When you look at his 2021 PFF grades, Parham, 881 snaps, had an overall grade of 78.8, a pass blocking grade of 79.2, and a run blocking grade of 84.5. I believe in this new run blocking scheme that Craig is going to implement on top of the pass blocking scheme, the overall offense with Getsy. I do think that Parham would be a better fit on the right side. Let's go to another reason here. He was solid at right guard in 2022. He has played probably 90% of his snaps for the Silver and Black on the left side. But there were times last season where he was forced to play right guard. In fact, was the first week of the entire year, which he played 35 snaps for Las Vegas, or 2022, excuse me. And 2022 PFF grades in week 1. That's on me. 35 snaps, had an overall grade of 82.3, a pass blocking grade of 82.6, and a run blocking grade of 73.1. That is as a rookie. Then the other time that he played right guard back in 2022 was week 4, funny enough, against the Chargers, so Telesco maybe got an opportunity to watch him a little bit. He played 75 snaps, an overall grade of 77.2, a pass blocking grade of 73.8, and then a run blocking grade of 74.8. My point is this. Parham has showed that he can play multiple spots, and he has played right guard before. If I tell you right now that I believe that I can make the overall offensive line better by putting Parham at right guard, because let's face it, the right guard options in the draft, the right guard options out there are not very good, and I want to make sure that our offensive line is one of the best in the National Football League. Also, I like to be the best here at Chat Sports, and we are in a battle this week with our 49ers channel, in a subs battle, and as you can see, we're down after day 1. But here's my opportunity. I don't know how many times y'all have watched this show before, and I know that every single day somebody watches the show and they are not subscribed. I don't want to lose to the 49ers. We just had to watch them and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I'm not dealing with that. So help me take down the 49ers report. Hit that subscribe button. I'll keep you guys up to date on this battle the entire week, but I'm getting a dub. And if you're with me, spam some just win babies down below. Let's now go look at the new offensive line coach, James Craig. And I could make an argument like if the Raiders would have kept Carmen Bracillo, remember he left to go to the New York Giants, and if you would have kept him around, maybe you don't change it up a little bit. Like maybe you stick with the offensive line that you've been rolling with, because if it's not broken, don't fix it. Parham's doing okay at left guard. Now you're bringing in a brand new blocking scheme, and people are going to have to learn something new anyway. So if you're going to teach it now, it's the time to do it. You kick Parham over and let him start learning right now. The free agents and drafts, they're weak at the right guard spot. I did a video last week. Please go check it out, where I rank the top 10 options for the Las Vegas Raiders at right guard. And I'm going to roll through these names again, and you're going to look at some of them and be like, yeah, I don't know how many of those I want to start. Like, Zinter's not even going to be able to play this season. No disrespect to Trey Turner and Phil Haynes. No thank you. Dylan McMahon and Layden Robinson are probably round 4 and beyond guys. You got Hala Vata'i, who he's played like 200 snaps last season. Mark Lewinsky, I would say, is a below-average right guard. Greg Van Roten, out of all the free agent right guards out there, is the best one available. Now, sure, you can get Christian Mahogany probably in round 3 or round 4, and then Christian Hayes is probably going to be available to you in round 2 or round 3. My problem with that plan, though, is if you are planning on drafting a right guard that you are going to consider starting right away, that takes away your ability to potentially take a quarterback, an offensive tackle, a corner, a linebacker. And yes, offensive guard is important, there's no doubt. But I also know that we can fix this issue if we go and do it a little bit of a different, unconventional way, and that way is kicking Parham into right guard. Also, the left guard talent is just superior to the right guard talent in free agency and in the draft. I made a video about probably a month ago, and I listed all the left guards. Like, you can still look at a guy like Dalton Reisner. You could bring him in. You could look at some other of the top guards that are going to be in this year's draft. My point is, when you look at from top to bottom, the depth at left guard compared to right guard in free agency in the draft, it is not even close how much better the talent is at the left guard position than it is at right guard. So instead of just trying to take a small pot of players from the right guard spot and insert into a lineup, you drafted Parham to be versatile. Let him be versatile. Kick him over to the right side and go find yourself a left guard. Now, before I get into the reasoning of why I would move Thayer Munford to the right guard spot, I do want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, PrizePicks. And PrizePicks has been putting money in my pocket the entire year, and I want you all to go out and give it a shot because you're going to have a good time doing it. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS. And what's kind of funny today, I interviewed somebody to have, we're hiring here at Chat Sports, and I asked them, if you could explain yourself as a sponsor, a company, how would you explain yourself? And they literally told me PrizePicks, because they're a sports junkie. They love looking at all these games, whether it's college basketball, whether it's the NBA, obviously during football season, but it's also super easy and simple, and all you got to do is choose more or less. And I'm going to look at all y'all in the eyes right now, and I'm not a college basketball guru. I'm not a basketball guru. I'm not. However, our Chat Sports team, I'm the Raiders guy, we got basketball guys here. And this is the lineup that they want me to roll with, and they made a lot of money for me over the weekend. So I'm going to share the picks with y'all so you can put a little bit extra money in y'all's pocket. How do you do it? You go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. I love PrizePicks, and there's a reason why that they're the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. It's super simple, easy to play. All you got to do is choose more or less. It's really as simple as that. And I do miss football, but I almost enjoy it more for basketball because I'm not a basketball fan. And I know there's probably a lot of people out there right now that are like, I don't even watch basketball. My March Madness bracket's busted. I lost to David Zahn in the round of 32, right? Here's the thing, though. You go put some money down with PrizePicks every single game you're interested in. Every single game is like you pick that team to win the national championship. Why? Because you're watching, you have a chance to win some money, and it's really fun when you incorporate other people. Like Alex and I, if Alex and I have nothing to do on a night, I'll put down $10 on a game, we'll sit down and watch it. Now, that's if I want to also watch the game, if I don't want to watch The Bachelor or something with her. But it's something that we do. It's a fun thing to do. Go get started, prizepicks.com/CLNS. All right, here, let's go into the reason of why the Raiders should potentially move Thayer Munford to right guard. I know I laid out all the reasons for Parham, and you're going to see some similar reasons here, so I'm going to go through this one probably a little bit quicker. But for Munford, he played right guard in 2021 with the Ohio State Buckeyes, and he had the opportunity at times to at least get in the game and show you what he could do. And when I think about Munford, this was a player that, when I watched him coming out of Ohio State, was somebody that we had rated at the time, like when he was getting ready to first come out in the NFL draft, we had him as a round 1 grade. Unfortunately, he ended up getting hurt, and then he ended up coming out the following season. But the year before was 2021, and I loved what I saw from him at the guard position. I mean, look at the numbers. In 704 snaps, 73.7 overall grade, a pass blocking grade of 76.1, and a run blocking grade of 76.9. I also, from what I saw last season, he was good as a left tackle, which some of y'all are probably like, well, Mitch, why would you move him to right guard? I think footwork sometimes is a very interesting thing from top to bottom. And yes, he was solid at left tackle last season, but to me, that shows versatility. And that's my point here. He's a versatile offensive lineman that I do think could play guard, that I do think could end up just, even if you needed to kick him over to the left side, which we might get to here in just a second. But the fact that Munford has been able to show you that he can play right guard, that he can play right tackle, he can play left tackle. Yeah, he hasn't done any of it at an exceptional rate. But if I needed to do this to then free up that right tackle spot, I would at least consider trying to roll out and go ahead and doing it. Next thing coming up here is the new offensive line coach, which I kind of already explained this one. If you're going to implement a new offensive line, like I'm not just going to stick with players just because they played a certain position last year. You're the coach. You have the right to make changes, and especially if somebody wasn't a slam dunk at a certain position. Another reason here, new free agent draft week at the right guard spot. And then the final one, which I've already explained as well, is that just there is strong right tackle talent in the draft. Like there's guys like Talisi Fuaga. There's a guy like J.C. Latham. And again, I am trying to build the best overall offensive line. And if that's what I'm trying to do, no disrespect to Thayer Munford, but if you have an opportunity to get a Talisi, to get a J.C. Latham, to get a Mims, like I would rather put them at right tackle and then you kick Parham in to right guard. That to me makes your overall offensive line better. Like I'm not passing on a Fuaga or a Latham or an offensive lineman that you could potentially get in the first 2 rounds because I have Thayer Munford. No, that's not smart. You kick Munford into right guard, you put somebody else out there at right tackle that you draft high, and then you go out and sign somebody like a Dalton Reisner. I'm trying to build the the best overall offensive line that I can. But the reason why I wanted to make this video is because there's a tough decision that needs to be made. The Raiders don't have to do anything. You can keep Parham at left guard, you can keep Thayer Munford at right tackle. However, based on what Telesco has said recently, anything's available. Anything's on the table. They know Parham is a versatile player. They also said that Thayer Munford could potentially end up playing offensive guard. So my question to you is this. If we are trying to build the best Raiders offensive line possible, who are you moving to guard? Are you moving Dylan Parham to guard? Or are you moving Thayer Munford to guard? Type DP for Parham, type TM for Thayer Munford. The way that I would run this is this. I would move Dylan Parham to right guard, and then I would move Thayer Munford to left guard. And some of you are like, that is just coming out of nowhere. Because I would move Parham to right guard is because I actually think that he would be a better fit in James Craig's offensive line than his structure if he were to play on the right side. On top of that, I want somebody to be able to help out whoever that right tackle is that we bring in. I think that we're going to end up bringing a right tackle in the draft. And if we do end up bringing a right tackle in the draft, then I want Parham to be there next to him, comfortably next to him to help him work and get, a little bit more help. Yes, I showed you these numbers, and he was a reliable right guard as a rookie. But the fact that he's been able to play multiple spots, like, let's go ahead and let's do it. But then on top of that, when you look at Thayer Munford last season at a left tackle spot, yes, I get it. Left tackle, it's different than left guard. But to me, his footwork is a lot better on the left side than it is the right side. On top of that, he showed you last season that he was getting better and better and better. And for those of you that watch the show all the time, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. I mean, look at his numbers in Week 15, then look at his numbers in Week 16, and I don't want to hear the excuse, you're talking about a Chargers team that they had Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa. Week 16, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champs, on Christmas Day. He had a hell of a game. And then Week 17 against the Indianapolis Colts, another outstanding game. He proved to you that he can get it done on the left side. So if I was to be the Raiders offensive line coach, if I was AP and Telesco, this is what I would want. Based on right now, I would want Colton Miller at left tackle. I would put Thayer Munford at left guard. I would have Andre James at center. I would have Dylan Parham at right guard. And then based on the talent at the right tackle position, which is probably the biggest reason why I would do this, is because I love the right tackles in this year's draft. I don't love the right guards in this year's draft. The left guards are okay as well, and you can go a few different ways. Obviously, you could keep Thayer at right tackle, and then, you could maybe draft a guy like Cooper Beebe from Kansas State, put him at left guard, and then you put Parham at right guard. I get it. But if I'm trying to build the best overall offensive line, imagine if the Raiders were able to get a Fuaga Latham and Amarius Mims and Tyler Guyton. All these offensive linemen right here are going in round 1. These guys are going in round 1, right tackles. And then if you do end up drafting a Michael Penix Jr., why not get the guy that's been blocking his blind side? Put him at right tackle. Look at this offensive line here. You're telling me right now this wouldn't be one of the best O-lines in the National Football League with Miller, Munford, James, Parham, Fuaga? Replace him with Latham. I don't care who it is. This is the type of line that I'm trying to build, and I believe if you end up doing a lot of these things, you could have a very successful team. So I don't know if you guys can see the comment or the question that's down below, but this is the question that I want you to answer, because if you look at this and you go, honestly, Mitch, I don't have a lot of confidence in it, well, then we're not going to do it. So what is your confidence level in the Raiders' offensive line that you see up on screen? 1, you hate it. It is a horrible, horrible offensive line. 10, it's one of the best offensive lines in the National Football League. Based on that line that I just showed you, my confidence level in that would be a solid 9, dog. Like, I mean it. To me, you got one of the best left tackles in Colton Miller. You have Talisi Fuaga, who I think is an absolute monster of a human being. And if he gets drafted by the Raiders, people are going to fall in love with him because he's a tough mother effer. Then you have Parham, who I do think is going to be a better right guard. Andre James, who's been a solid center. And then Munford, who showed you last season that when he was on the left side, I get it, tackle, that he was better, that his footwork was better. He's also played left guard before at Ohio State. So my bottom line is I'm trying to put players where I think that they are the best to create the best overall team. And just because you take Fuaga at 13 doesn't mean that you can't get a quarterback in the first round. What if we had that offensive line built, and then you trade back up into the back end of the first round to take Michael Penix Jr.? I know that I have not been the biggest Penix fan. I would be on board for something like that. So in conclusion, I believe that the Raiders should move Parham or Munford to right guard. Personally, I would put Parham at right guard. I would kick over Munford to left guard, because left guard and right tackle talent available, it is better than the talent that is available at the right guard position. And I know I'm throwing out left guard, right guard, and there are certain players that can play both. There are also some players that can't. And there's also guys in the draft that if you're a left guard, you're probably going to make more money because, you want to be able to protect that blind side. If you end up drafting a lefty quarterback like Penix, somebody like Parham would love to probably play on the right side. Both players can play multiple positions. And if you're a team, you shouldn't just focus on right guard. Yes, it is the biggest hole in this team. I look at it as we have a missing piece on the offensive line, and let's do everything we can to make sure that our offensive line is the best product that we can possibly put on the field.